And good evening to everyone online. I am so honored to be here with you. Truly honored. Um, and welcome to the 6 p.m. Soul Center Dharma Recovery worldwide, thanks to Zoom. And it's great to be here. And just want to say, death, yay! It's in my human concept, like I remember wishing, and this is like weeks ago, how things I loved and people I loved, how they could just be here forever. And that isn't the nature of grasping. That's in my nature as a grasping human being, to want those things to be here forever. And for some reason, which I cannot totally grasp, let's use that word again, nothing is meant to be that way. It's like life and death are the same process, and they're bound together. So to celebrate life is to celebrate death, and to celebrate death is to celebrate life. I think of a couple things in autumn, and I can talk about leaves all day long. And I'm glad I'm kind of weaving that in my thinking for this month. What I'm thinking of now are prayer flags, which is crazy because just when you started talking about the gossamer and that, making death beautiful, prayer flags traditionally by Tibetans are they put them outside. And the idea is that they fade and they decay and they fall to the ground. And I do this in my backyard when I put them up. I just let them do this and go through the whole process of just falling to the ground and decaying and going away. And that's, there are multiple purposes for prayer flags. I mean, we hold them and hang them in our house, and theoretically, that's not going to happen for a long time to them there. But on the outside, you can see them. They're bright and beautiful and really cheery when they're first out. It's like seeing flowers in June, like roses when they come up. And over time, they become like the trees in winter. There's hardly any flag left. They're tattered. You can't see what was written on them. You may not even be able to identify what color they are. Half of them may be spread on the ground. It just may look like a big string going nowhere, where once were all these flags. And I've done that. I've had that practice, and I guess I never thought of it as a practice. I was just doing it because other people did it. But there's something to be said for imitation. But it is a practice, and I look in the back and I see no flags now, so I get to put new flags up, and I'll put new flags up. But if you looked a few years ago, there's some bright, beautiful flags out there that were the sun and the wind and the animals and the rain and the snow and the freezing cold and the big heat and the moisture. They just all took it apart. And all those things are living, so living things, take things apart, right? The other thing I think of is when I rake my yard, and I get to rake my yard soon, and I love leaf raking, which is crazy because I seem to procrastinate doing it. But this year I want to get on it earlier, but I have whole areas of the yard where I leave leaves on the ground, so that the queen bees and the queen hornets and all the other insects which will need to repopulate in spring can take shelter underneath those leaves and come out and pollinate the gardens and the plants and live their lives again. And so I leave that out there. And just imagine a big bed for bees and hornets and paper wasps and carpenter bees and all the beetles and all the other crawling things of the earth, just to be underneath those leaves and hibernate for the winter. And that in itself is just a kind of death. Like most of those animals die, and if you live through the winter to do it all over again, it's really deep and an emotional thing. For me, if I think about it, just the fact that these things have clung and have done this for millions of years and come back and come back. That's life. So I'm just just hanging close to this time of year and really enjoying it. And it looks like here in Spokane we're getting a classic autumn. It looks like so far. It's trees are changing slowly. We're getting our colors. It doesn't look like it's just going to disappear, but I can never say for sure. I've grieved some of the past autumns that disappeared in sudden frost, which killed all the leaves without any color, or where we've had summer go till October 20th, and then 5 days later, the highs are in the 20s, and all the leaves just turn brown and don't change the magentas and purples and oranges and reds that I just so love. That's another thing that can die too. It's just those seasonal variations. They'll change as things adjust. I spent some time on Buddhist psychology and on Buddhism, just looking at what is the feelings towards grieving. And I'm glad to say, in my head, if you just left it to me, I'm so glad things are not just left to me. There's a time I thought if things were left to me, everything would be perfect. And now I'm learning better in my older years that it's not the case. I would have believed be detached. It doesn't matter, right? Just detach. Overall, Buddhism, the practice is to see it. Grief is a normal process that is to be experienced without being pushed down, right? Just something we observe and experience, and I would even say celebrate fully. It's a normal thing. So in my form of Buddhism, where I overemphasize that detachment aspect, and there's reasons with trauma I do that, and we're not going to go into that in this meditation. It's nice to know that my concept of detachment there was not the middle road concept of detachment. I looked for a few chants, and I've actually learned a new one, and oh man, I hope I remember it. I had a problem. One of the chants was a Hindu chant, and it's easy to get that chant stuck in my head because it was in a song by a group called The Prodigy. If anyone knows The Prodigy, would think that was funny, but it's actual Hindu chant in the song that goes on for quite a while. So it gets stuck in my head because I've heard that song a lot. And there's a Buddhist chant used in Tibet. And I'm going to pull out my little notes here just to make sure I got it right. Just so we know what the chant is. So it's Om Ami Dewa Hri. So Om is the universal sound. It's the sound of the universe. Ami is limitless light, light without limit. Dewa is the Buddha nature when it's illuminated. The illuminated Buddha nature, the Buddha nature made apparent to all of us. And Hri means doing something with respect and dignity. And when I looked up what chants Buddhists do when someone dies and after they die, and there's a lot of them that do it for 49 days. It's just a period of time that it's done. I got a lot of different chants. There's Om Mani Padme Hum. There's the regular Amitabha one. There's a lot of chants they do, but this is one that's used in Tibet. So, and I will do my best, and you can follow along online if you wish. I'm going to probably do this for about 3 or 4 minutes, followed with about 3 or 4 minutes of silence, and then we can just get on with the sharing. I feel like I lost the chant. Okay. I'm going to do this chant to the tune of another chant, so I hope you can accept it. I did chant it a lot today, but it just kept on slipping out of my head. Take a few breaths before we start. Om Ami Dewa Hrihi. 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 Let's take a moment to see someone who has recently passed, who you would like to give this energy to, or honor with this energy. Spend a few minutes following your breath and just honor that person or animal. as we wrap up this time, a reminder that it may not be a person or a thing that we grieve, but it could be a condition, it could be a job. For some of us, giving up drugs or alcohol or any process addiction, there's grief that can be around that. There's a whole identity that goes with that sometimes we lose, that we may grieve. And I believe these practices can be used for the loss of anything. Namaste. Okay, so we're going to do our dedication of merit, so everyone get comfortable. And I'm just going to say, every morning I sing this in the shower, and this is my, and I've used it for dedication of merit, and I've said it whenever I've seen like an ambulance or a car wreck or someone who looks distressed. I've said it, and I've said it whenever I've gotten angry with someone, and I've sang it too. So, and it's a very Buddhist, very common thing. May we be happy and peaceful. May we be healthy and strong. May we be safe and protected. May we live with ease. Namaste.